The way I present my webinars is I also keep giving you a lot of questions in between so that you can keep on putting in the chat window so that it becomes more interesting rather than me only speaking about it. Good. So let's talk about what's the major theme of the presentation today. So we are going to talk about the linkage between business excellence and portfolio management. Why portfolio management is important for business excellence. We also take up a case study on an IT portfolio, how it was designed, how it was optimized so that it could meet the strategic objectives of the organization. We dwell quite a lot on benefits management, which is more to program management, how the benefits were conceived, how they were driven, and how they were closed. We also take up in detail how the program management was taken up and portfolio management from a top-down as well as bottom-up blending. And as a consultant, we also see in detail how a consultative approach the delivery was taken so that people could get the full benefit. Again, please type in any of your queries as you go across, and I will try to answer them as we go across. There will be some more time towards the end, but we would like to be more dialogue, more participative. So please type in your queries as we go across. Good. Now, if you look at that, many companies are very good in strategy formulation. So you would have heard about the vision, corporate strategic objectives, etc. But in my experience, I have seen barely 20 to 25% of the companies actually are good in implementation. So can you please type in the chat window why companies are good in strategy formulation but poor in execution? What are the key reasons? You can type in your responses. The question is why companies are poor in strategy implementation. Please type in. I'm not seeing any responses, please. Need quality resources, sometimes not enough support from upper management, that's right. Okay, focus is lost down. Don't have a good vision. I'll wait for one more minute. All are very proper reasons. They won't link to program management. Okay, so there are a couple of reasons why companies are very bad in strategy execution rather than formulation. I was working in PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers Consulting, for quite some time, and we made a lot of studies why companies are bad in execution. Typically, that reasons why companies are not able to execute properly boil down to this. Strategy is often formulated based on unsound assumption and hubris, that is very optimistic assumption. In most of the times, the people who formulate strategy are quite different from the people who execute the strategy. Do you agree to that? Most of the cases I have seen a separate group, corporate strategy group or something, formulates a strategy, but the actual implementation is left to the middle management and the line management. So that's the reason that there is a huge disconnect between strategy formulation and strategy implementation. Now, you can type in your comments also as I am talking so that I will try to comment to that also. Also, what happens is organizational trap. Whenever there is a strategy change, there is a change which is coming in the organization. Many companies are not able to absorb change quickly. There is a preference for status quo. There are blind spots. People are not able to absorb change quickly. There is a lack of meaningful communication with the stakeholders, and as some of you pointed out, the lack of sustained top management commitment is one of the primary reasons why strategy is not getting implemented properly. Would you like to comment on this slide? Please type in your comments How many times you have seen that, or any further comments on this slide? I'm going forward. Somebody said, Sunil Gupta says it happens all the time in our organization. That's right. Communication is the key. Good. That's right. I want responses from others also, so that we can make it more meaningful with different perspectives. Out of touch with the workforce and daily activities of the organization. That's right. What Carla says is absolutely correct. Most of the time, the top management is quite dissociated with what happens on the ground. So they are more external facing, and they are not able, they are out of touch with what really happens in the daily activities of the organization. Buy-in from all the stakeholders, not all the stakeholders, I should say major stakeholders. All the stakeholders would be fairly impossible. Maybe 80% of the stakeholders, if you get the buy-in, that would be excellent. Good. I'm going further. Now, let's see what is the context of the portfolio in an organization setting. As you know, most of the companies have got a vision. The vision becomes quantified vision. For instance, one of the companies which we work wanted to double its productivity, double its revenue in 5 years. So it's a very clear quantified vision. Their current value, the current market realization value was about, let us take $1 billion. They wanted to make to $1.5 billion in 2 years. So the gap assessment is made from as is to be, and this gap has to be fulfilled by the change initiatives, which include projects and programs. Now, which projects and which program to be taken up was taken up by the strategy team, including external scans, internal environmental scan, etc. And the collection of all the strategic initiatives become the portfolio of the company. The portfolio was also given to various accountability was vested. So it becomes the lines of business were vested with the responsibility of driving the portfolio. So let's see how it really happened. So mid to long-term strategic goals to be attained by the organization are set by the top management. For instance, we will double our market revenue or market value in the next 5 years. So for that company which we were doing or we were talking about then, this gap was about $50 million to be bridged across next 5 years. So the corporate actually they developed multiple change initiatives. For instance, product mix, increase in income from launch of new products, 20% contribution, expansion new geographies, 10%, decrease in customer request serving response times by 15%, and a new defined capability acquisition that is more like a facilitating objective. So what I'm trying to say is once you've got the quantified value gap, a lot of companies actually found out which initiatives to be taken up to bridge the value gap. Now, have you seen this type of a bridge? So you can type in, have you seen this type of mix of initiatives to bridge the value gap? With your comments. Something similar, okay? That's right. For each of the goals, there is a little understanding of the required investment in each of the goals. So we talk about balanced scorecard a little later. Right. Because the point is, there is a big picture, how much is the value gap that cannot be taken care by only one initiative. So multiple strategic initiatives have to be taken together collectively to achieve the 2B target. So let's go further.